Well, good day, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of WTF Walk the Floors. I'm Stephanie Leger, Chief Excellence Officer of First Rate Hospitality. I'm excited for another episode with my co host here, Michèle Kline. Hey, Michelle.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michèle Kline. I'm a coach, owner, founder of Kline Hospitality Consulting, where we provide amazing services that have to do with helping people grow and avoiding these WTF type of moments, right, Stephanie? What are we talking
Oh,
about today?
yes. Oh, we are so excited of talking about going along with the theme of what came first, the chicken or the egg. But in talent acquisitions, what came first, the recruitment or the ghosting?
Oh, very nice. Recruiting or ghosting? Which one came first?
Yes.
So, do you want to tell us what your story is?
Yeah, so mine is, well, when I was working for a previous company, and they had a lot of questions that were allegedly to be very thought out for the psychology of how you answer the questions. Well, I was taught on very early to be very confident and always rate yourself a 10. So I made sure whenever I was having my friends or fellow coworkers from other hotels that were applying to be and always saying, okay, this is the way that you need to making sure that you're getting through to the next stage, and always just saying that you're at a 10, and then also to different scenarios, always having your go-to scenario. So it's not a WTF moment, but it really was outsmarting the system, and to being like, really, this is like taking time from the recruiter as well as myself, that we know how the system is played and this is what the answers need to be.
Which kind of is a WTF moment, because if someone is truly verifying the answers, then this would be adjusted, right? Because when
Yes.
the process that you have in place serves you no purpose anymore, then you have to reevaluate where you're standing. So I
Yeah.
think it is a WTF moment. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and WTF of like, why am I going through this process when we already know that I know how this needs to be played out. And, now we're just wasting each other's time.
Yes, absolutely.
And give me the job.
It's almost like that one thing that you check off as an employer to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, right? I do have
Yes.
all my ducks in a row. That's interesting.
Yes.
So my
Yes.
WTF moment has to do with an operation that I was overseeing for a little bit that was in a commercial laundry facility. So, for those hoteliers out there who have never visited their laundry facility where they are outsourcing their services to, these are massive plants with massive machines and things happening and things moving. And there's these gigantic bags with soiled linen running above your head. And then there's gigantic bags with clean linen that is going into a specific area where they're going to now be running them through the irons. So here's the deal. I needed a janitor for one of those facilities. And I get a call from the plant manager, and he was very flustered. And I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I can't take this anymore. I don't want to deal with talent acquisition. They don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, okay. Let's talk about it. Let's talk through it. What's the case here? So he finds a team member, a new janitor. He finds the team member sleeping on the job 3 times. First time we have a conversation. Second time, now it's getting frustrated. We're probably going to have to go into a written and so on, right? So the third time, he starts thinking through it, and he realizes as he's connecting the dots that the team member falls asleep in its place by himself, like you're standing and you fall asleep. So I was like, oh my gosh, this team member has to have a condition that is making him fall asleep on the job, right? So I ended up going back to, I said, let me deal with this. I didn't want him to go into HR and end up in jail. So I went back to HR and I'm like, can you pull out such and such application? Yes, of course. The team member had mentioned on the application that he had this condition. So once again, between the questions that you have to answer when you're going through the process and you're answering, oh, yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely, and
Yeah.
nobody's questioning that. Two, when we ask those candidates, do you have any conditions we should be aware of? Because I'm not saying that candidate wouldn't have been great at a different role, but you're not going to
Mhm.
send that candidate to a commercial laundry facility where there's moving pieces and electric machinery absolutely everywhere you look. So next
Yeah.
thing you know, the guy is sleeping and this big bag
Mhm.
bumps on his head. So that was definitely one of those experiences where you're like, okay, we're gonna go on a field trip and
Yeah.
we're going to go check out what exactly is that our team members do so that you
Yes.
can learn exactly what it is that you're hiring for. And how
Yes.
many times do you go through that where you have employees that have been hired to do something specific and they're either not capable, physically capable to do it just because the recruiter was not in tune with what the job or the role truly entailed?
Absolutely. And even from the employee's point of view, that I've known employees that have gone through the interview process and they're asking those questions because they want to know what is the day to day that it's going to look like while they're on shift. And then the response from the recruiter is, I'll have to get back to you on those questions, or not even being able to answer basic operational questions that happen in the department. And so, it definitely is, with them being very out of the operations. Not saying they need to be in that day-to-day operation, but they need to be able to say and visit their department heads on a monthly basis at least, and to being like, okay, how are the new employees working out for you? There's certain things that you're looking for and qualities of the workers that we're interviewing, and setting the expectation up too is a lot of times, there's a lot of false expectations that recruitment may give. And then the day-to-day operator was like, what are you talking about? No, this is a, housekeeping or feed and beverage that we do, over $4.5 million in sales. And like, nope, sorry, this isn't, going to be just a walk in the park.
Yes, for sure. I have had the opportunity throughout my career to be on both sides of the fence, on the
Mhm.
operations side and on the HR side. And during many years, I was the one bridging that gap between both departments. And
Yeah.
that was one of my biggest pet peeves, to make sure that the talent acquisition team was communicating with operations and operations was communicating back with them to make sure that they
Mhm.
were setting them up for success, not only with the highlights of what that ideal candidate looks like to you, but also how does your entire rest of the team operate so that this new candidate can actually fit in. And we
Yes.
work in an industry where many different cultures play a big role, right? And
Yep.
there's some departments that are very much driven by a specific ethnicity or by a specific culture. And sometimes when you're not 99% of your team is from one specific background and now you insert someone else who's completely different, you want to make sure that the team and the leadership team especially are prepared to embracing that
Yes.
new hire so that they don't feel like they don't belong. That's the
Yes.
last thing we want to see.
No, Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and then here we are, we're talking about that recruitment process and stuff. But another thing that adds on to that is the ghosting
Oh
process.
my
And
God.
there's
Yes.
a lot of phrases that either the tentative prospect of the employee is ghosted, or the employee now ghosts the company for a bunch of different reasons. And we'll start off with right at the beginning of the application. Here they are going through the application. They've made it past that first phase, and then now to the second phase, and then all of a sudden they're being ghosted, and it's like, wow, we were really moving along, great communication, and then all of a sudden crickets. And you're like, hey, just let me know. I really had my hopes set on working with this company, and I was referred to by someone as well to, go for this position. And then all of a sudden, nothing. And then meanwhile, I'm like, should I start looking for somewhere else? Are they going to get back to me? Am I going to miss out that now I've went somewhere else and they were very quick to hire me on? And then now a month later, they've finally get their act together and get back and be like, "Oh, we would love to have you." Or you get that general email, "Thanks, but no thanks."
Yes. So the great phenomenon of the ghosting we have seen for as long as I can think of, right? It's just that since 2020, the percentage has gone up. And then on the
Yeah.
other hand, we have a new type of ghosting, which is exactly what you're saying from the other side. Now it's not so much the candidate not showing up, but it's also the recruiter never following up, or it's like
Mhm.
you're complaining because there's no labor and we're going through a labor crisis, but at the same time, you're taking your sweet time to call these people back. I literally just had, I do career coaching, and I just had a client reach out to me and said, I finally got word back from X place after 8 weeks of our first interaction. 8 weeks, right?
Wow.
When you're
Wow.
and great thing is that he is working, but when you are actively looking for a job, it won't take you 8 weeks to find that new spot.
Yeah.
So how, I've always had that situation with between ops and HR where we have to bridge that gap. We have to find the creative ways to
Yes.
accelerate the onboarding process, but you can't take that long. And today I think it's even worse than it was before 2020, 100%.
Absolutely, because if you're one company that do have your ducks in a row and do have your processes in place and communication in a timely manner, you're going to be the one that's succeeding. And then the ones that are taking their sweet time, those talented employees are going to be going to the other place because they're getting them fast and getting them onboarded and on the job training right away, compared to the other places that are just taking their sweet time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's important for us to mention that regardless if your process has been working a certain way for the last, I don't know, 10 years, 7 years, 5 years, whenever it was the last time that you evaluated it, you need to do a revaluation ASAP if you can
Yes.
fill those positions, right?
Yes.
Go in, assess, get out of your desk, walk the floors and figure out where is the process broken, because it's very comfortable to say we are facing a labor crisis when your team is also not reaching out on a timely manner, not following up on those potentially warm leads, is not getting back to a candidate when the candidate possibly has a question,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
not only you're running a team who has no idea what the role is about, or maybe knows like one or two or three things, but not thoroughly comprehends what the role is about, but also they're not engaging the candidate on the other side. And that is very risky. So
Yeah,
people out there,
absolutely.
get out of your desks, go find out what your team is doing, how they're operating, and that's how you find success.
Yeah, and even auditing your technology because
Yeah,
nowadays so many of team members are relying on the technology, but do your own self audit on the technology and seeing where the breakdown that is causing long delays for these employees or potential prospects to saying yes or no or where more information to
absolutely.
come.
Yes. Evaluate your workflows, evaluate the mapping of your system, evaluate the keywords
Yes,
you're using. None of that, all of that was probably built whenever the system went into place. So someone has to go in and figure out where you stand from all of those perspectives so that you
yeah.
can adapt to the new today, which is different than what it was before. Yes.
Exactly. Well, this was great. You know, another one that we can keep going on and on, but we want to definitely keep these short and sweet for our listeners. And we look forward to seeing you again.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Stephanie.